stomach, my baby. Denton stood unmoved. You slipped, he muttered. No one touched you. Danielle's voice trembled with rage. You pushed me. You yanked my bag, and I fell. A man in the crowd muttered. She's just trying to get attention, another voice added. She probably wants to sue, Danielle pleaded. Somebody call an ambulance. I think something's wrong. No one moved. Denton, arms folded, said, she's fine, self-inflicted. Then, an older black woman, Ruth Langston, stepped forward. Sweetheart, breathe, she said, crouching beside Danielle. You're not alone. She dialed 911, ignoring Denton's warning to think twice before interfering. A 14-year-old boy, hidden behind a cereal display, recorded everything: the approach, the yank, the fall. A woman hissed at him to stop, but his thumb stayed on record. The truth was being captured, not by the store's cameras, which mysteriously malfunctioned, but by a child who refused to look away. Paramedics arrived, declaring Danielle stable but in need of further evaluation. Denton seized the moment, barking, let's get her in the back. She's not going home yet. Danielle protested, I need to call my husband. He's an FBI agent. Denton cut her off. That can wait. You're being detained for questioning. They led her to a windowless room, smelling of bleach, where she sat on a bolted plastic chair, her tote untouched, her phone confiscated. The manager whispered to Denton, are we sure we need to hold her like this? Denton snapped. She resisted. That's all anyone needs to know. Miles away, Caleb Rivers, a high-ranking FBI agent, sat in a briefing when his phone buzzed. A private message with a video link and 5 words. Is this your wife, sir? The grainy footage showed Danielle standing firm, Denton grabbing her bag, her fall, and his cold dismissal. Caleb's jaw locked, his knuckles whitening. Get me the regional manager of Oak Ridge Fresh Market, he told his team, his voice low but unyielding. Dispatch our media unit. This is a civil rights violation. Live on video. Caleb's black SUV pulled into the store's lot with precision. He stepped out, his DOJ badge gleaming, flanked by 2 agents. Inside, customers froze, phones lowered, whispers died. I'm here for the store manager and the officer who put his hands on my wife, Caleb said, his tone cutting through the air. The floor manager stammered, but Caleb's presence demanded compliance. Meredith, the woman who sparked the incident, stood frozen, fear replacing her earlier smugness as she saw Caleb's badge in the security office. Danielle sat hunched, clutching her belly. When Caleb entered, she reached for him, her grip desperate. He dropped to one knee, whispering, I'm here, it's over now. Across the room, Denton's confidence wavered. Caleb stood, turning to him. You violated multiple sections of the Civil Rights Act: unlawful detainment, abuse of authority, negligence toward a pregnant citizen in distress. Denton scoffed. I had probable cause. Caleb's voice was a scalpel. You had a hunch. You escalated with assumption, not integrity. The store's surveillance footage from aisle 7 was conveniently missing, but the teenagers' video was not. In the FBI's forensics lab, Caleb and his team reviewed the TikTok footage, capturing Denton's aggression, the crowd's indifference, and the whispers of prejudice. We have everything, Caleb said. Video, audio, independent, eyewitness, attempted data manipulation, racial bias in active duty. The case was stacked: unlawful detention, excessive force, civil rights violations. At the precinct, Caleb faced resistance. Captain McMurray defended Denton, citing union protections and paid leave protocols. Caleb countered, you've created a self-cleaning machine that erases misconduct, but this time, you're not hiding behind procedure. He filed under Title 18, Section 242, pursuing criminal charges and naming the department in the complaint. You've mistaken institutional stability for moral strength, he said, leaving the room shaken. The lawsuit, Rivers v. Denton, Fulton County Police, and Oak Ridge Fresh Market, alleged multiple violations. It made headlines, igniting a firestorm. Danielle's congressional testimony, where she confronted a smug legislator's suggestion that her dress caused the misunderstanding, went viral. I was 6 months pregnant, wearing a maternity dress, she said. Perhaps it was my skin. Her words, I'm not here for pity, I'm here for change, became a rallying cry. The backlash was swift. Pundits questioned Danielle's credibility, digging up old social media posts and a hospital argument to paint her as aggressive. Caleb anticipated it, countering with facts, but Danielle felt the sting. It doesn't matter what I do, she whispered at home. They'll always make me the problem. Caleb knelt beside her. They'll try, but we won't let them. In court, Justice Deborah Talcott delivered the verdict, guilty on unlawful force, civil rights violations, and racially motivated misconduct. The gallery exhaled in affirmation. Danielle closed her eyes, feeling the moment. Mrs. Rivers, Talcott said, "You've shown more dignity than many of us deserve." Denton's head lowered, a tear betraying his loss of control. Danielle founded the Free to Carry Legal Defense Fund for Black mothers, advocating for women like Janice, turned away from a clinic for lack of payment. Her Selma keynote at the Civil Rights Festival became a touchstone, transcribed into university curricula. "I am not a victim, I am a witness," she declared, her words echoing for years. In Westfield Park, Danielle pushed Ava's stroller, Caleb at her side. The HOAS exclusionary sign was gone, a quiet victory. An elderly man, once distant, nodded sincerely. "Your daughter's beautiful," he said. Danielle smiled. For the first time, he meant something. Sitting by the duck pond, she leaned on Caleb. "This is what healing looks like," she whispered. Justice wasn't complete, but in that moment, with Ava's breath steady and the world moving alongside them, it felt alive. He suncast a gentle glow through the tall trees lining the drive into Oak Ridge, a pristine neighborhood where manicured lawns and polished SUVs defined the landscape. Danielle Rivers, 6 months pregnant, stepped out of her car, her hand resting lightly on her belly. She wore a simple gray maternity dress and canvas sneakers, unremarkable yet elegant in her quiet grace. But as she adjusted her tote bag and took a deep breath, she felt it, the subtle shift in the air, the weight of eyes watching her, not with curiosity but with suspicion. In Oak Ridge Fresh Market, an upscale grocery store where cashmere and Pilates leggings were the unspoken dress code, Danielle's presence drew attention. An older white couple loading groceries into their sedan paused, their gazes lingering too long. A security guard, white and thick-necked, leaned against a pillar, his eyes locked on her from the moment she arrived. She offered a polite smile, the kind black women like her had perfected to say, "I mean no harm." He didn't return it. Danielle adjusted her shoulders, determined not to let the scrutiny weigh her down. It was just a grocery run: fruit, juice, a few things for her husband Caleb to cook. But in places like Oak Ridge, safety for people like her was conditional, dependent on silence, compliance, and just the right amount of deference. Inside the store, the produce section reminded Danielle of her grandmother's Saturday mornings. In Savannah, picking peaches with care, she stood among rows of oranges and gala apples, her fingers brushing over green grapes as she reached into her tote for coupons. Her movements were slow, deliberate, nothing hidden. Yet, 3 feet away, an elderly white woman named Meredith froze, her hand gripping her cart like a lifeline. Her lips tightened, her eyes fixed on Danielle with a rehearsed panic. "She's digging in her bag near the grapes," Meredith whispered to a nearby employee, loud enough for Danielle to hear. "I think she's hiding something." Danielle paused, her hand still in her bag. The tone wasn't new alarm mixed with righteousness, a script generations old. She offered a warm smile and held up a neatly folded coupon. "Just looking for this," she said gently. Kyle, a stocky employee in a green apron, approached with a pace that feigned casualness but screamed intent. "Everything all right here, ma'am?" he asked, not looking at Danielle but at Meredith, who leaned in with theatrical control. "I saw her bend over her bag. You never know these days. Some people hide things. Well, you know." She glanced pointedly at Danielle's belly. "I'm pregnant," Danielle said, her voice steady but direct. "Not hiding fruit, not shoplifting, just buying groceries." Silence followed, then a snicker from 2 women near the avocados. "Why do they always make it about race?" one whispered, playing the victim card. The other nodded. The words weren't meant for Danielle, but they cut through her like a blade. She gripped her cart, exhaling slowly, and offered, "Would you like to search my bag? Would that make you feel more comfortable?" Kyle hesitated, muttered about staying alert, and stepped away, radioing something under his breath. The signal had been sent. Officer Riley Denton, a man who carried authority like a hammer, arrived at the store within minutes. He didn't need details, just a whisper of suspicion about a black woman in a white space. With a history of complaints brushed aside, Denton was Oak Ridge's protector, keeping the right people safe. He strode into the store, his uniform creased, his body cam blinking red, his boots heavy on the linoleum. The air shifted with his presence, a silent message: "Something's wrong, and I'm here to fix it." Danielle was comparing orange juice labels when she felt him behind her, solid and uninvited. "Ma'am," Denton said, loud enough to draw eyes, "set that down and step back from the cart." Startled but composed, she turned, one hand on her cart, the other near her belly. I'm sorry, she said, voice steady. He gestured to her tote. You've been flagged for suspicious activity. I need to see inside your bag. She blinked. I was looking for coupons. I haven't done anything wrong. His tone sharpened. That's not what I asked. Let me see the bag. Now, shoppers stopped. A woman in tennis whites whispered. Finally, someone's doing something. A man in a fleece vest muttered. She fits the description. A teenager texted. Cops here. Some black lady getting checked. Danielle's cheeks flushed, not with shame but with the weight of being watched. Sir, I haven't taken anything, she said, holding up her coupon. Denton scoffed. Lady, I've seen your type. Dressed respectable. Got your story ready. All smiles until things don't go your way. The words echoed through history lunch counters, neighborhoods, church, bombings. Danielle's grip tightened. I'm not who you've decided I must be. Pregnant or not, Denton snapped, stepping closer. I've got every right to search your bag if I suspect theft. Laughter rippled through the aisle, quiet but complicit. Just cooperate, a woman behind her said. If you didn't do anything, why not let him check? Danielle's eyes moved from face to face. None knew her as a teacher, a wife, a soon-to-be mother. All they saw was skin. I have nothing to hide, she said, voice low, but you don't get to treat me like a criminal for shopping. Denton's jaw tightened. Last chance. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Danielle stood firm, her stillness a defiance in Denton's world. He reached for her tote, jerking it sharply. Instinctively, she pulled back. Her foot caught the edge of a rubber mat, and she lost balance. The fall was brutal, her body twisting, one hand shielding her belly, the other hitting a metal shelf. A sickening thud echoed, followed by a gasp from the crowd. Pain bloomed in her wrist and hip, but the deeper fear was for her baby. Oh God, she whispered, clutching her